Brendan Sorsby conversation is absolutely wild to me. Um, if it's okay with you guys, I will lay out the whole thing and then I'll get your guys' thoughts, if that's
Let
all
her
right.
rip.
But
Let
for
it
those
go.
that don't know, Sorsby has admitted to gambling uh, on making thousands of bets over his entire time in college, including bets for his own team on his own team while he played at Indiana. He currently, or this last year, was the quarterback for Texas Tech, who was in the playoffs, right? They're very, very good. They were a very good team last year. They're a very good program. And he admitted to gambling $90,000, right? This is all out. He's admitted. He checked himself into rehab for gambling. As is very normal, customary, the NCAA, they instituted a permanent ban on him from participating in collegiate sports. No one was surprised by that. You can't bet. That's like the red line. That's the line you can't cross. You don't bet. You don't do it. And by the way, this isn't none of this is a shot at Sorsby. Like, dude, got help. Like you made a mistake. Like you can turn things around.
Yeah.
But NCAA bans him. Sorsby gets a lawyer, and they file a lawsuit against the NCAA on grounds that the NCAA either doesn't have the authority to institute a permanent ban or that the crime or the punishment doesn't fit the crime. Whatever it was specifically, I don't know. But he files a lawsuit. That lawsuit goes to a Texas Tech alum judge who recuses himself in a district court in Texas. So, guys, like, I'm not messing with that. He's an alumni of Texas Tech. Another guy comes in who's from Lubbock. He didn't go to Texas Tech, but he's from Lubbock, Texas. For those that don't know, that is where the campus for Texas Tech is. This Lubbock, Texas judge comes in and they set the date for the trial to be something like February 7th or February 11th of 2027. So after the college football season. And then he granted an injunction for Sorsby, which basically states that any punishment instituted by the NCAA is paused until the trial date. So to put it on layman's terms, the judge comes in and puts down a thing that says the NCAA cannot ban you until the trial takes place. Trial takes place after the season, so the NCAA can't ban you. And this would be his last year. No matter what, he was going to the draft after this year anyway. So now the NCAA has appealed that. It's going to an appellate court. Also, this appellate court has 4 Texas Tech alumni that sit on the panel. So they will be the ones ultimately making the decision on whether or not the injunction stands. They could say that, and I think it's probably likely that they grant a stay, meaning that they are not going to allow Sorsby to play. But I just think it's absolutely absurd that some district judge can come in and make a ruling like that and grant just unilateral ability to play and take away the entire teeth of the NCAA. So that's a little bit of the whole rundown, but I know you guys aren't as probably read up on it and has looked into it as much as I have, but just after hearing that initially, what are your thoughts? Like, Jerry, what do you think of this situation?
Yeah.
Or
So
am I blowing it out of proportion?
no, I agree with you. I had been following up on it a little bit, not reading like quite into as much detail as you have. I mean, the facts are that you have a kid that gambled on his own team, gambled on his own sport while he was on Indiana. Admitted to it, like you said, got rehab. That's Pete Rose got banned for life from baseball for that, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
How like if this kid is playing in the NCAA and the NCAA is the governing body, how is he not punishable by the NCAA? NCAA should have direct authority over this. This should a judge, like you said, a judge should not be able to come in and take away the NCAA's rights on how to govern their own league. I just don't think that's I don't think that's how it should be ran. I think it is complete BS that's what's happening here. Um, I also think you might be a little jaded because you were hoping to get him in the supplemental draft, but
Hey, we're not gonna talk about the supplemental. Not worry about that.
yeah, but it's a crazy situation, and it sets a bad precedent for future
Yes,
situations like this.
Exactly.
that's
Not
well,
even like this. What if it's so sorry.
no, take
Let
it.
me
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
add on
Go.
to this. So
I
not
spoke
even
for
like
like
this.
20 minutes there.
What if it goes into like just like paying athletes and stuff like that, and then a judge is like, no, we can do that. They can do that. This team can do that, and it's biased because of the judge is a fan of the team. It's crazy to even let it get to that point. Like
Mm.
so many other wrong things could happen because of this one situation.
I
Now,
100.
I will say, it, I think this is true for even pro sports. Just on the gambling side of it, the fact that they can punish this kid for gambling, and then the entire game is sponsored by DraftKings. The next game is sponsored by FanDuel. That to me, that whole part of it, the contradiction of that is also BS. But that's kind of another conversation of it. How they're punishing these
No,
athletes for gambling, and then getting millions, billions of dollars from these gambling companies and sponsorship rights. So
Hmm.
yeah,
it's ridiculous. It's getting out of control.
I don't
Hmm.
disagree with you at all on that. My only thought is that the the what makes betting fun is that you think that you're betting on something that is fair and that is you can count on the results, right?
Mm.
Like I enjoy betting, you guys enjoy betting. We are not doing it this week, but we have literally a segment involving betting, right? A moonshot, Jason's moonshot that he puts together. And so I don't want to be like, well, I think it's hypocritical to be I don't know. I'm kind of torn because to your point, the NFL itself has embraced DraftKings, has embraced FanDuel, right? Like it's literally sitting on the, or ESPN. ESPN's a big supporter, right? So it's like
Yeah.
I on one
ESPN had
hand,
their own
like
sports book for a minute. Like,
yeah. So on one hand, I do agree with you in that like if the NFL is really like leaning into the betting, it's very rich of them to come back and be like, well, but you can't bet. Like
Yeah.
we'll take the money from the betting groups, but not you guys.
and that's what happened. I think it was last year with the Detroit Lions wide receiver core, right? Like Jameson Williams and all
Yes.
those guys got banned for it because
Yep.
they were
So
gambling
last year,
on. Yes,
2 years
last
ago.
year, 2 years ago.
But yeah.
But they were gambling on team property, which I know there's rules with it, and like sports that you can bet on. Obviously, you can't bet on your own team here, and what Brendan Sorsby did is pretty bad, especially if he's betting on his team to lose. I don't know the exact situation.
No, he
On
wasn't
what
doing
he was
that. It
doing.
was like Pete Rose style, like betting on his own team to win.
Yeah.
It was all none of it was like fixing games.
Which
but
I'm all for that, by the way. If you're gambling on your own team to win, that's
no,
yes. Like
No.
that is fine.
no,
That is
you
fine.
can't. That's crossing line. You cannot. There should be no instance in which because so to finish my point. So like the reason betting's fun is because you think it's legitimate, right? Otherwise, why am I betting? Shador Sanders over 200 yards passing, other than I'm an idiot. But yeah, but if I don't think that the game is set up in a fair fashion, and if you have players that are able to place bets even for themselves to any capacity, if you're being able to place, like if a quarterback places a player prop bet on his receiver to get X amount of yards, like you don't think he's going to be targeting that receiver. It's like you cannot have any of this in here because what it does is it degrades the integrity of the sport. And now people go, well, it's rigged, it's fake, it's not real, it's pro wrestling, it's not a legitimate competition, and now you lose interest and now you lose money. Now everything crumbles in on itself. It doesn't work. So you can't In my opinion, you can't mess around with any of this stuff, and they should have just they did ban him, but no district judge, and this gets to a larger conversation that we don't have time to talk about here, but the entire NCAA landscape needs a complete restructure, especially on the football side. And I've actually created a restructuring, maybe in our boring the boring time here before football starts, where all
that's
we
like
got is baseball.
that's like a middle of July conversation.
That's a middle of July conversation. We'll
Yeah.
get to it when we get there, but I think it needs complete restructuring, because then you don't have situations like this.
Mhm.
Then you don't have these issues, the banning. Jason, I think I cut you off a little bit, but did you have anything else you wanted to add on top of it, or any other thoughts?
No, that was
That's
that
it.
was all I had to say. I mean, I
Okay.
completely agree. I think that it just leaves a bad precedent for any future handlings with the NCAA and the athletes, and trying to punish, quote unquote, punish them, or just, just react fairly on the
Yeah.
situation. Like, if you gamble, and you know you're not supposed to, that's it. Like, that's how it should be.
It's
Well,
basically a judge coming in and telling the NCAA, yeah, your policies and your
Nah.
bylaws mean nothing. It's like, I
Like,
have the real power
actually,
here.
yeah.
I want
Yeah.
this guy to play, so like,
Good
This guy's
job.
pretty
Good
good.
job.
Just let him play.
No, well, we should get an answer on the appeal here very soon. The supplemental draft one needs to declare by June 20th. So in the next 2 weeks, we should find out kind of what. I mean, the worst situation for him is that the appellate court sits on it, doesn't make a ruling, and then they rule against him, and he can't play and he can't enter the supplemental draft. So we'll see. For those that don't know,
Sorsby, get ready to learn XFL, buddy.
that's right. For those that don't know, the supplemental draft is something that does not happen every year, but there are certain circumstances in which players that can no longer play in the NCAA but were not draft eligible can enter what's called the supplemental draft, in which case it's a blind auction where teams will wager their draft picks for the following year, and the person with the highest draft pick that was wagered gets the player. Everyone else gets their draft picks back that didn't use it, and then the team that gets them loses that draft pick. So, for instance, if the Browns put a third-round draft pick on Brendan Sorsby, they would lose that third-round draft pick in the 2027 NFL draft. So, but yeah, that pretty much wraps up the whole Sorsby situation. We should get an answer here soon.